Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode 132 of the Rise Up and Share Your Medicine podcast. I'm sorry, I had like a little moment of just glitching of my brain because I've been doing so many different classes and lives that I was like, wait, where am I? No, this is podcast episode 132. I'm so delighted to be here with you today. And yeah, just be here live. I love my flowers that I have that are part of the medicine that's going to be here. And I love how that rose, it's like orange roses and a sunflower. And that rose is like coming at you. It's like she's trying to sneak out and come right at you. And I bought them yesterday on the side of a road. We were at a doctor's appointment and there was this lovely family selling all these beautiful flowers. And I was like, oh my gosh. So anyway, we're welcoming the medicine of the flowers to help you share your medicine in the highest way. So this podcast is every week is a sanctuary for all of you helpers, all of you who have this divine mission to bring about healing, to bring about change, to be visionaries, to bring about creative ideas, to be change makers in whatever way you do it. A lot of my clients are therapists or other coaches, but there's also clients in all sorts of fields. I'm a life coach for them, a spiritual career coach, meaning that I help them really share their gifts with more impact without burnout, right? In a way that feels really fulfilling and purposeful. So today's episode is called Knowing Your Value. And I really want to talk about this. I've been wanting to talk about this for some time. So I want to break down for you what I mean by this, because it is one of the most important things for you to know and own and claim your value. So first, I want to be very clear on what I'm not saying. I'm not suggesting that there are some people that are more valuable than others. The divine, God, spirit, the universe, whatever word resonates with you, has made everyone valuable. Everybody is valuable. Everyone is born with an innate value. Whatever they do in life, whatever quote unquote mistakes they've done, whatever amazing things they've done, it's like we're all born as valuable beings. Okay? So that's the first thing. So that's not what I'm talking about. It's like we all have that. What I'm talking about, the value I'm talking about is, yes, we're all valuable, and we also have this journey, this process, especially when you're a helper, of becoming valuable for others, of bringing value to the world. So that's different, okay? And so this is what I want you to understand. Now, people tend to think like, okay, people bring value by all the information they know, right? So for example, if your refrigerator breaks down and you call someone who's an expert at refrigerator fixing, so they bring that value. So of course, that is true. There is all sorts of knowledge that we need, and when we need it, we want to call somebody who has that knowledge. That is a value. But I'm talking deeper than that. I'm talking about the value of bringing about transformative change to others, to the world. And so what is it that makes you a valuable person in that way? You might think, or some people might say, kind of what I was saying before, that it's your training. Okay, I trained to be a therapist, I trained to be a coach, or I'm a Reiki master, or I trained with this expert in this and all of that. That is not it. That can be helpful, but that's not what creates value. This is what creates value. Okay, are you ready? What creates value is the thoughts that you have, the quality of your thinking, because all of the results are created from our thoughts. You've heard that in many spiritual traditions, like our thoughts create our reality. And so the more you focus on releasing those thoughts that don't serve you, identifying those thoughts that aren't even yours, they were just passed on to you, and you're like, oh my gosh, these aren't even my thoughts. Doing that very courageous, deep work of identifying the thoughts, choosing which thoughts you want to think, Like, this is what I coach my clients on. You can choose your thoughts. I know at first it feels like, well, no, they're just in there. But you learn to discern your thoughts and you learn to think, wait, that's not even my thoughts. And so the quality of your thoughts, and this is the other key, the quality of your thoughts, not only when you're helping others, because this is really interesting. If you have a helper heart, when you help others, you probably have pretty good thoughts, right? Maybe there's times where that's challenged, but for the most part, you might have thoughts of like, oh, I really want to help them, or I see their pain, I can alleviate that, or oh, I can see what can be a creative solution for them, or oh, I went through that, I can share my experience with them. So if you are a helper, have a helper heart, you tend to have those kinds of thoughts when you're helping others. Now, there might be other thoughts, right? There are times when we have more challenging thoughts. But for the most part, when you're in that arena, that's probably pretty easy for you, or easier for you than for others, because you're wired that way. But what actually creates the most value is the thoughts you have when you're not helping other people, the thoughts you have when you're living your life. So I want you to think about the world and the help that the world needs. Yes, there's hunger, there's war, there's polarity, I don't want to list it all, but you know all the problems in the world. All of them will be healed by a healing of the thoughts that people are thinking. Like, I know it can seem like that's not true, but if you have been on the spiritual path for some time, you understand that is at a massive scale, that's what would happen, right? If we as a humanity started to like take ownership and recognize how powerful our thoughts are, and how it's really not about the actions, it's about the thoughts we have, which when we think a certain thought, it makes us feel a certain way. And when we feel a certain way, we take certain actions. And then that's when the results that we're looking for come. And so as a helper, when you're living your everyday life, like when no one's looking, like what are some of the things that we experience, right? So we can have times where we feel overwhelmed. I'm going to list all these things, and they're pretty like kind of heavy feelings, but I really want to invite you to just like hold them, be in observer mode rather than like, oh, I'm feeling all of it now because she's listing it, right? Because I know as helpers, we tend to be really empathic, but just kind of like, oh, we're observing, like what are some of the things that we can experience? Overwhelm, like our thoughts can be overwhelming, like, I don't know, there's so many thoughts, this thought is saying this, which is very connected to confusion. Well, I think I should do this, but then I think I should do that. And it's just like, I feel confused, and that leads to feeling overwhelmed, right? There could be distraction, right? It's like, oh, wait, even like distraction from, this is so interesting. I've been noticing this in myself so much. Like I've really been kind of amping up my spiritual practice, right? It's like, when you're really in this place of upgrading. And like I said, this year, 2025, and if you're not watching this in 2025, claim that it's your breakthrough year, because I've claimed that 2025 is our breakthrough year. But even if you're watching it another year, just say that's your breakthrough year. The year to break through self-limitations, release old identities, release the baggage, release the stuff that we've been carrying for so long. And so when you are having that type of year, when you have that commitment that okay, I also need to like amp up, like really commit to my meditation practice, my prayer practice, my walks in nature, whatever, all of the stuff, whatever it is for you. But what I've noticed lately is the distraction. Like I'll be like, okay, I'm going to go light that candle and do this thing. And then it's like 10 minutes later, I'm like, wait, what did I just do? Just like that distraction, right? So there's distraction, right? There's judgment. Our thoughts can be judgmental. First and foremost, judgmental to ourselves. Why am I still dealing with this? Why is this taking me so long? Why does this bother me so much? Why, right? I should be here. I should be there. There could be those judgments. And of course, we could also be judging others. There could be thoughts of, this is too hard. This is too much. This shouldn't be happening. We could have bored thoughts. I don't have that quite as much. That's never been but I mean, I've had moments of that, but I know that can be a really overwhelming thing. Like, there's nothing to do. I'm feeling bored. Like, there's that resentment, right? Like this. And what does resentment mean? Re-feeling. Like, it's a thought where we're like repeating experiences or memories and we're just feeling bad. Maybe it's whether it's something we did or something we feel somebody did to us or somebody did to somebody else, and we're just keep thinking about it and thinking about it, ruminating and just feeling resentful. There's worry, right? There's worry thoughts. There's anxious thoughts. There's thoughts of lack and scarcity. There's not enough time. There's not enough money. There's not enough help. There's not enough energy. There's not enough health. There's not enough vitality, and so on. I probably could go on, but you get the idea. Like, these are all the qualities of the thoughts that we can have and that the world often has. And I'm not saying this with judgment. Literally, if we can just have so much compassion for humanity, that wow, humanity as a human race, as a human collective, we can get caught in all of those. And when we're in those thoughts, it's like, if you think of those thoughts as universes, right? It's like as vortices, right? Like a vortex of judgment, a vortex of confusion. It literally feels like you're in a trap. And so, as a helper that you are, as someone who has a mission to bring about healing change, not through sacrifice, not through overextending yourself, not through punishing yourself, but through aligning with your true self, then of course, part of your training would be experiencing all of those. And maybe, and this is one thing for you to be curious about, when I read that list, maybe there's some, like I said, boredom's not a big one for me, right? Resentment's also not a big one for me. Not that I've never felt it, don't get me wrong. Of course I have felt it, but that's not a big one for me. But there's others. Worry, anxiety has been a really big one for me, right? So you can kind of think about, okay, what are the ones that for you have been like a cluster of thoughts that are so sticky for you? I didn't put in here self-doubt. I don't think I did, but that's a big one too. It's very connected to confusion, right? So again, we're just observing. We're observing like, wow, yeah, maybe for me, the sticky thoughts are these. Oh, those are the thoughts that I can spin out in. But rather than thinking of it that way, think of it as like, oh, those are the thoughts that I actually came here to become immune to experience how challenging they are, and then shift back to my truth, to peace, to trust, to hope, to inspiration, to calmness. And it might not be that immediate, right? It's a journey, but it's like knowing like, oh, that's why so for me, like I said, anxiety used to be, I mean, I can still have anxiety, but it used to be so bad, like just very, like, especially in the morning. Like I would wake up and just be like, just like, it was this like feeling that would take over my body that really didn't have much to do with the actual circumstances at that point, yet the anxiety could be so heavy. Right. And so if you recognize like, oh, there's a certain cluster of thoughts, maybe for you it's judgment, self-judgment, or I know that's a big one for a lot of my clients is the self-judgment. And so every time you find yourself in those, you identify it and you shift back. Whether you do that through meditation, through taking walks in nature, through prayer, through working with a coach, right? Working with someone that helps you identify like, oh gosh, yeah, I have these patterns of thinking, let me shift back. Every time you do that, every time you practice that, every time you commit to that, you become more valuable to humanity. Because you're like the walking antidote to the problems of the world. Like, you are someone who has been in the arena, who has jumped into those experiences, those thoughts, and come out of it. Not by pretending they're not there, not by squashing them and being positive, but by doing the really courageous work of looking at the thought, like, oh my gosh. So, like, for example, next week, the masterclass is about this one thought: I'm behind. The whole class is going to be about that one thought, and how that thought is such a poison to so many helpers and visionaries and creatives and change makers. And so it's like you're holding it in your hand, the thought, and like being able to look at it and recognize, I have the power to choose a different one. And then I need to implement that and practice that. So when you are doing that in your personal life, you become so valuable, regardless of your job title or whatever else. So that when you are in front of the people you're helping, or you're inspiring, or you're teaching, or whatever it is you do, or you're baking cookies for, or you're whatever it is, it's not just that they're receiving. They're receiving the resonance that you carry of someone who has learned, who has practiced, who is committed to coming back to those high level thoughts, right? To those thoughts of, my soul has infinite capacity. I know that the Divine Mother works through me, right? Or I'm open to blessings flowing through me. I know that everyone has a soul and a light, right? It's like whatever your thoughts are that are powerful. I can access creative ideas because my soul is infinitely creative. So that's what makes you valuable. But there's another step to what makes you valuable. So there's that work, and so I love working with helpers. That's my mission. There's many reasons. One, because I'm one, but it's also because so many helpers are so committed to their own healing journey, right? I mean, so many of my clients, like I said, are therapists, are coaches, and they have been in this journey for a long time of helping themselves, of getting clear, of releasing burdens, of healing their trauma, of all of the things so that they can be more present for their people. And then I really think it's a very accelerated, like advanced stage when you're at the point of really then paying attention to your thoughts and really recognizing, oh my gosh, this thought is holding me back. It's actually preventing me. It's clouding my vision. It's making it hard for me to access my soul's creative ideas. And so as they commit to that, they become like this, it's like this diamond, like so valuable, so valuable, so valuable. And then the next part of that is when you recognize that this is valuable. I know, like, I want to really slow this down and repeat that. So first there's the quality of your thoughts. And I'm not suggesting that you have perfect thoughts and you never have self-doubt or any of that. It's not about that at all. It's the commitment to noticing your thinking, especially when you're not in the helper role with others, because I think that's the place where often we show our highest selves, right? If somebody is in pain or it's like all the other stuff we might be thinking about, anything else goes away. And you can be really focused on your person, right? Your client, your student, your customer, whatever it is. It's really about those in-between times when you're at home, when something happens that's difficult, when somebody says something that's challenging, when you watch the news or whatever it is. It's like at those points, recognizing where your brain goes, those thoughts that are like cluster heavy thoughts for you, and coming back, shifting, even if you don't shift right away, just the intention, the commitment to it is powerful. And then when you accept and understand that is valuable. So this is what I mean. So many clients, and I include myself in this, are so committed to this work, but they don't understand how valuable it is for others. They're just like, why am I still thinking this? Why am I still confused? Why do I still get anxiety? Why is this still happening? Instead of seeing it as, oh my gosh, every time this happens and I decide to not just give in to it, but notice it and shift, or even just say, God, soul, help me. Like, I don't know how to shift, but help me. Or hire a coach, or do it, whatever they're doing to shift. When you start to recognize that that is valuable, and not dismiss it, not judge it, not think that you're behind, right? Not think that you're slow, not think that, oh, other people have it figured out, but actually recognize the sacredness of this process and that it is increasing your value. That's when you become the most valuable. Isn't that amazing? So it's not just the knowing. So it's 3 steps. One is knowing what makes me valuable. First of all, knowing you are valuable. Everyone is valuable. We're all born with an innate value. That's not the piece I'm talking about. I'm talking about how do you then in this earth world become valuable to others, become like a valuable, resource that is like bringing medicine, right? One is the quality of your thinking. That's what makes you valuable. In particular, the quality of your thinking when you're not in front of somebody trying to help them, but when you're living your life, the commitment you have to shifting to those higher level thoughts. It doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, it's not going to be perfect. That's why it requires so much courage and commitment. It's not glamorous work. I mean, yes, there's moments of bliss and like, oh my gosh, but there's also a lot of moments of like, oh, just continuing to work at it. And then the third thing is knowing and understanding that this is how you increase your value. I had a session I've been having, I'm so blessed to have clients that I've had for a few years. And so I've really walked with them through so much of their journey. And it's amazing because I'm seeing so many, and I think it's because I declared this is our breakthrough year. And I was like, this is our breakthrough year. And whoever wants to join me, join me. And I feel like so many of my clients are having so many breakthroughs. I mean, they always are, but it's this next level of like understanding like, oh my gosh, like I am valuable. Not valuable in the sense of like, I'm a good person, but I'm like, I'm bringing a lot of value to the world. The fact that I've done this inner work and I'm working on my thoughts and I'm clearing the thoughts that don't belong to me. Like they're recognizing that is so much value, not from a narcissistic show-offy, I'm better than you place, but from like just this like gratitude and appreciation for the value they bring to the world and the understanding that in sharing it, however that is, whether it's behind the scenes, right? I have several clients who are kind of in this recovery phase. So a lot of their helping happens through their prayer, through their meditation, which is so powerful. It fills me with so much joy and delight and hope. And I mean, more than hope, just like confidence on the evolution of the world, that there's so many people doing that, anchoring the light in that way. Or whether you're like really in front of people and talking to them a lot and doing a lot of that kind of work. It's like when you start to recognize, I have so much value to bring. And because this is what happens when you recognize it that way, it's not attached to people pleasing. And it's not attached to, oh, I hope people think it's valuable. I think people like it. I hope people feel it's helped. That doesn't even matter. Like when you're in that place, you're just like, there's not even, there's no concern about that. You're just sharing your medicine and you trust that, the divine, the universe is going to bring you the people that are ready to receive it. And if some people aren't, that's totally okay. You're not convincing anyone of anything. Right? And so that is what this teaching is about. That is what knowing your value means. It's like knowing the preciousness of the work that you do when nobody's looking. Well, maybe your coach or therapist is looking, right? Because they're helping you with it. But it's the things that nobody sees. Right? So when I teach my classes, when I'm with my clients, when I do these podcast episodes, when I do my IG lives, that is what the forward what is forward facing part of my business, right? That's what my clients, my students, or new people see. And that's of course valuable. It's a overflow, but it comes from everything that happens when I'm not in front of the camera, when I'm not in front of my clients, when I'm not in front of my students. And I don't mean that all those times I'm just floating on air in bliss. There's all these circumstances that come into my way. There's all these triggers and things that could hook me into one of those thought patterns that I shared in the beginning. And it happens. And over, it's me with practice. And I've had a lot of practice. I've been doing this. I mean, we've all had lifetimes of this, but this, I left my job as a middle school teacher 15 years ago. So like really kind of sustained, focused practice. It's been a long time. And so it's that ongoing practice. But it took me a while. It's a much more recent thing for me to comprehend how valuable that is for all my people, that I do that. I think I knew that, but I still had this voice of like, but it should really not be that hard. I should really not have any triggers anymore. It's so weird because when I say it out loud, it sounds crazy, but we can have these voices inside that's like, oh, well, I'm a coach. Well, I'm a therapist. Well, I've been doing this for so long, or I'm whatever. I shouldn't get triggered. I shouldn't feel bad. I shouldn't have resentment. I shouldn't have judgment. I shouldn't have doubt. I shouldn't have confusion. And it's like, absolutely not. In fact, I think sometimes as helpers, we sign up for way more of that. Not to suffer, not to punish ourselves, but because we're meant to be the antidote. Think of a vaccine. How does it become a vaccine? You get it's like we inject ourselves with the virus of overwhelm or confusion. We agreed to these things because we're like, okay, I want to become the antidote. I want to become the medicine to it. Like I've said this for many, many years, and I just keep understanding it in a deeper way. That's the type of help and inspiration and support that humanity needs. They need people to lead them who have gone through it, not someone who just one day woke up and everything was totally healed and everything made sense and they were an enlightened master. There's a place for that. There is a place for, there is a place for that level of help, of course. But the vast majority of people, what they need first and foremost is somebody who's been in the trenches, right? Who's walked that arena of it. So when I have clients who are grieving, I'm not just like, okay, I read my book about grief and I got certified in grief things. Like I know all the things, but no, what they connect with is I have done a lot of grieving in my life. I've had a lot of loss in my life. I've had a lot of challenging things in my life. And so it's coming from a very different place than just like book knowledge or that, So I really want to invite you to spend some time with this and really recognize the value that you have. And notice if your brain starts to go into like, well, I'm not really valuable. I'm just like, it's like, just know that's the poison that you're here to heal. Like maybe for you, it just keeps going back to self-doubt. Maybe it's just like, no, well, I'm not, she says I'm valuable, but I'm actually not because da-da-da. And just notice like, oh, that's the thought. That's what I'm here to bring healing. Because think about all of the humans out in the world who do the same thing, but don't even have any tools or any resources or anybody to tell them differently. And so that's what I think about all the time when I get triggered in one of these, that I'm like, oh my gosh, like that felt so painful. But I have so many tools at my disposal. I've practiced this so much and it felt incredibly challenging. I just imagine all the people out there who are going through this and have none of this knowing and tools. And then that really brings compassion for me, like this, like compassion and desire. And for me, really focus on the helpers of the world, right? When I think of helpers who are caught in this net of self-doubt, like maybe they have this wonderful idea for a class or a healing modality or whatever, or even just like a Facebook Live that they want to do. And yet that self-doubt is so crippling. And I just think like how many helpers out there are in that place, are in the snares of self-doubt and the world is missing out on their brilliance. And so that inspires me, and I get like, okay, I need to then make sure I'm doing this work, right? I'm not just asking them to do it, I'm doing it. And so that's why, you know, so I'm offering these examples for you to apply it to yourself, right? To really see like, oh, like I'm in the front lines. I'm in whatever you're doing, whatever it is that those thoughts are for you. And of course, we don't want to minimize when we are in our joy and inspiration and just like, you know, that beautiful feeling of relief. You know, if you've ever caught in these snares of self-doubt or confusion and suddenly the clouds part, like because you've done the work, whatever the work is, and you're like, oh my gosh, there I am again. There I am again. And that beautiful, sweet relief of self-recognition, of knowing, seeing yourself again, that is so valuable. Then you bring that to others, that energy, that resonance, that frequency, for those who are ready, right? Who are ready, who are open, and when I say ready, they might not know they're ready. Sometimes people don't know they're ready, and then they hear you talk and they're like, oh my gosh, I want that, right? Or they see you and they're like, oh my gosh, you look so radiant and bright, and like, what are you doing, right? It's like, and so all of those, of course, are part of the medicine. All right, so I want to pull an animal card. Like I said before, I'm so like super in love with this deck that I got recently. I don't think it's a new deck at all. It just newly came into my life. And so I want to just kind of see, and we're going to ask what animal. Hey, Suzanne. Hi, Roxana. Hi, everyone. Oh, before that. So the masterclass next week, it's called The Unburdening, Releasing the I'm Behind Identity. And stepping into your present now, leading from that place. I'm so looking forward to that masterclass. It is a free masterclass. It's next Thursday, June 26th at 1 o'clock Central, I believe. But I will put the link in the comments. Register. Tell your people to register. I mean, whoever you feel, you know, that's like, oh my gosh, yeah, we get caught up in that. Like, I'm behind, I'm falling behind. There's not enough time. Like, whatever that thing that actually is very toxic to our helper heart. So I would love for you to join me to that masterclass. You will get the replay for 5 days. And also, if you want to meet with me privately, I would love to connect. I offer free breakthrough consults, and that's an opportunity for us to talk and for me to help you really identify like where you are now, where your helper heart is leading you next. If that's not clear for you, maybe it is very clear for you. Either way, once you know that, then really identify what are the obstacles that are in the way and what is the solution for that. And then if I think I can help you further, I'll share the details of my coaching program. Either way, you will have a breakthrough. And I've called those sessions, by the way, breakthrough consults way before I declared that this year was going to be my breakthrough year, our breakthrough year. But that is my intention, that every person, and I believe it's true. Just knowing, just having clarity on like, oh wait, this is where I'm going. This is the direction I'm going is a breakthrough. Or even just knowing, oh, this is the thing that's in the way. I thought it was this, but this is actually the thing that's in the way. Is a breakthrough. And so many more. All right. So I'll put the link also in my comments for that. Let's see, what spirit animal, what animal medicine is helping you to connect with your value, to claim it, to know it, to recognize it, to be blessed by it. Let's see. Oh my gosh, could this be more perfect? I love this deck because I have, for so many reasons, but I haven't seen, look, we got skunk. I love skunk medicine. I've only seen an actual skunk, I think like 2 times. They're so pretty. I know they get a whole thing about the small thing, but it's such powerful medicine. And look at what it says. Skunk spirit, know your worth. I mean, come on. Look at it, so pretty. And skunk medicine, I don't know what this will say because like I said, it's a new deck. I haven't read most of the cards here. And so I don't know if it'll talk about it, but one of the things that skunk medicine is also about is your reputation. Because think of a skunk, they have a reputation, right? The reputation precedes them. And so, but it's a beautiful, and they're also known as the pacifist because they have that reputation. A lot of predators are like, yeah, never mind. And it's like, we're not going to go there. It doesn't need to be aggressive. It doesn't need to do all sorts of fancy things. They just know, like, let's step away. So skunk also brings that medicine of like pacifism, disarming, and having this like reputation that precedes you, like a beautiful reputation that precedes you. There's just like skunk is such powerful medicine. I have a very special place in my heart for skunk. And so there you go. Look at that gorgeous card. Oh, it's on a little flower. So cute. Okay. All right. Well, I hope to see you next week for the masterclass. Find me on IG Live. I will be sharing tomorrow. The solstice is on Saturday, I believe. I keep saying that. It's not tomorrow. I believe it's Saturday. So I've been doing 11 days on Instagram Live. We're on day 7. Doesn't matter if you haven't done any of the other days. Just jump in. I'm going to do a special thing for the solstice for that to help you like really step into your power. All right. Bye, everyone. Thank you so, so much for being here. And just really know that you are such brilliant diamonds, such brilliant just what am I like a cornucopia of value. All right, a cornucopia, that's what I'm saying. Like you're just a cornucopia of value. And when you start to know that, oh my gosh, your impact is magnified 100-fold. All right, bye. Bye, Roxana. Bye, Suzanne, and anyone else who's here live or on the replay. Bye.